All right, today we're gonna do a little bit of operational testing. We've got a super heavy train, super heavy train, and we got a dynamometer. We're gonna find out what these locomotives pull. And then we're gonna find out how heavy our train is and how it works and how adding a locomotive, see what the results are to having multiple locomotives pull. We're gonna find out their power. It's going to be pretty awesome. Over here at the MSR, 4510 is hooked up to this extremely heavy load of scrapping guns. Got 8 of them. Those blocks in there happen to be the weights from out of Tyco locomotives. For some reason I got a ton of them, and they weigh a ton. Let's see if he can start shoving it towards the midway yard. Nope. He's putting some work in. He's doing a little bit of slipping now. Let's, you know what we need? What we need is some distributed power. That's what we need. This is a very heavy train. So let's get some distributed power. Why don't we send in 4513? We'll bring 4513 over here. We'll get him to hook onto the end. Okay, now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to use distributed power. So, let's see here. Here I got my engine driver up, and I got the two of them on here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release 4513. And I'm going to go over to 4510, and I'm going to add him like that. Okay. Now let's see here. 4510 is facing front. 4513 is facing rear. That's the way we do it. The first one is the one you want to decide if it's front or rear, and then the second one you can, depending on which way the cab is, just make it front or rear. Okay, now let's go back. Now we got them together. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull this thing now. Oh yeah, no problem whatsoever. So we have a consist of distributed power here. That is no trouble at all. Let's bring them back. Okay. You know what that means? We're gonna do a heavier train. So let me get set up here, and we're gonna see if they can pull more. Okay. Coming in, you can hear the dynamic brakes on 4510. They sound kind of cool. Hook them up. Now let's add 4510 to 4513. And 13 is forward, 10 is rear. Okay, so now let's we're gonna pull these gondolas out of here. Oh, no we're not. Now let's get these guys coupled up here. There we go. 4513 has regular KD couplers. 4510 has got those scale couplers. Okay. Oh yeah, doing good now. Okay, but can we back them up? We want to get them over here onto the ASR without derailing. Can we do it? Let's turn off the dynamometers. There we go. There we go. Now, what do we have here? We've got the scrapping train, and I added extra weight to it. And then we've got the CCX box cutters. They're not as heavy as the scrapping train, and these gondolas. But can we pull this? Let's see. Or do we want to push it? We're doing pretty good pushing it. Now, can we pull it? That is a lot of weight. I'd say this is the heaviest train I've staged, and its length way exceeds what we would have under normal operations. We would break this into 3 trains usually, because it's way too long for any yard track. But they're pulling it. Can you believe that? They are actually pulling this thing. They're struggling, but they're pulling it. Now, let's bring it back. We're going to try something really cool. All right. They could only push it a little ways over the bridge, and then they couldn't get any farther. So that means, let's get it distributed power again, huh? How about we bring in that first one we did, the GP40, that we put the Rev 1 motor in. Let's get him on the back here and see if we can distribute this power. There we go. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add 2055 onto my existing consist. Just add him. And he is facing front. Okay. So now, let's see what we got now. Can we do this? Oh yeah, we got 2 locomotives on one end and one on the rear. Now that is a heavy train right there. It doesn't get any heavier than that. All right, so how much power do these things really have? Let's see if we can make some determinations. Okay, so what I got here is a pair of dynamometers. I got this green one. This one is the easiest one. It measures the lowest amounts. And then for things that are much heavier, this one, the first measurement on it goes to 250 grams or 2.5 newtons. So dynamometer is basically a spring that tells you how much pulling power you have. And so this one, 2.5 newtons, is all like halfway down. All right, and that's the one we're gonna put on here. So first we're gonna measure this train. Now here's a deceptive thing about this. Just because I can pull it at a low amount does not mean I can get it up to speed and keep pulling it at that same low amount. I got a coupler here. We can get him on there. Okay. Oh, and get slack out. All right, come on now. Oh. Let's get you zoomed in here. There we go. Okay. So without pulling, let's take a look. Without, we're going to see how much it takes to do this before it starts pulling. And just barely, we're looking at 100 grams. Okay, and then if I try to pull a little more, it jumps up to 150. And then if I try to get it going, around 200. And if there's slack, it'll bounce up to 250. Oh, 300. So that's a very heavy train. Just 300 is a lot. So now let's take it down over here. Let's measure our 4513. So I'm going to hook it onto this nail. And we'll hook him up here. Okay, we'll get him. So roughly, he's weighing in, just sitting there, he can pull 50 grams just by, well, he can pull, but no, it takes 50 grams to pull him. All right, so now let's see what he does here. Let's get ourselves a good reading. Okay. Okay, right now we are pulling about 75, and we're slipping it slow. There's about 100, and he's slipping. Okay, so he slips at 100. So now let's undo him, and let's try our guy here, 4510. I'm expecting it to be around the same. So 4510 is sitting still right now at about 30 grams. He is also slipping just below 100. So they're both the same. All right, but what happens if we put them together? Is it going to be 200? Is it additive? Well, let's find out here. So let's go ahead, add on 4510, and he will be facing rear. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what to do. Not quite 200. So it's pretty much additive. So when they were working on that heavy train, they could get it going as long as it was 200 or less. But sometimes it spiked up to 300, and that's where we ended up getting a bunch of wheel slipping. So basically it's additive. But what would happen if we put on that GP40 with the Rev 1 motor in it? I think he weighs a little more. This is also a function of how much they weigh. So if you've seen these videos that I've done in the past like this, I do a weigh-in. Okay, so now we're going to add 2055, and then we'll be facing front. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so we are roughly at about 340. About 340. So we would expect the GP40 to be able to pull somewhere around about 150. I think we're right around 190 or so. And if they're going to pull 340, you get about 150 for pulling power. That's pretty good. That's like 50% more power than the 38s. But he is a GP40 and he's heavier. It's pretty cool though. That it's, and so what did we say? We said about not quite 350, and that took care of the spikes in the power it took to pull the super heavy train. And we use them as a pusher too, and the distributed power makes a huge difference. And with Engine Driver, it's so much fun to do consists on the fly, just adding and removing locomotives and putting them wherever you want them and having them work together. That's really fun. But there it is. That's a good job. Very good job.